Welcome in. It's the Real Spiel live show here on X, on YouTube, and on Twitch with your host, Roman Kelly, my co-host, Will Wigington, and my other co-host, Trevor Kelsey. Fellas, it's good to be back 1 week later, having some consistency here. 8 days later, but give or take, I guess. But that's fine. Will, Trevor, talk to me. How are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good. Just got back from a trip to Chicago and been kind of recuperating from that, I guess, but back to business as usual with work. So, time.
I just got back from taking a nap after eating 20 McNuggets for dinner. So, pretty much that's pretty much the routine.
20 nugget dinner, trips to Chicago. Fellas, we're having a regular week here on the Real Spiel live show.
I mean, come on, 10-piece nugget. Who can't eat a 10-piece nugget? I mean, seriously, you got to get 20.
10 is not enough. 20 is probably enough.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all act like y'all ain't a 20-piece nugget. I mean,
I just said 10's not enough. But
and
I
didn't have any fries.
How can you not have fries from McDonald's?
Because I had 20 nuggets. Jeez, Will, are you listening?
Damn.
Shout out to the 30 viewers in here. It feels weird introducing a show, running into a show, starting an intro with no sponsors or anything to talk about other than ourselves.
And chicken nuggets.
It's like we're straight into it, talking about chicken nuggets. There's no anything. Just in the comments below, let us know if you enjoy chicken nuggets from McDonald's or how many you typically get. We've got a commenter already letting us know that they get 40. So
this is.
Yeah, and I tell you what, now if I'd gone, I live on Westport Road, and the Westport Road I live on, the McDonald's, I thought about doing the 40, but they charge 20, and but unfortunately, now if you go to the Grange Road, that McDonald's owned separately by somebody else, they have a deal for 40 McNuggets right now for $11.99. Now I considered that, trust me, but I thought, I'm more of a 30 limit guy, so and McNuggets just don't warm up as like you can eat some nuggets like okay cold, but not chicken McNuggets. They got to be warm, right? I mean, it's and by the way, speaking of which, where do y'all rank the McNugget in terms of nuggets?
Let's rank them.
Let's
rank them.
I mean, I know you. I grew up with it, so it's always got a special place in my heart, even when it still tastes like shit. But it's gonna have it has a point for me growing up. You guys have kind of grown up more with more options. Chick-fil-A's been more available. You have Zaxby's. You used to you have to go to Bowling Green to go to Zaxby's for the longest time for me. Chick-fil-A, you had to go to the mall. You didn't have freestanding. You've got Cane's, which sucks, and other places. Like, where do you guys rank the McNugget? You probably lower than I do, but I'll start with
Places that
Roman.
actually have nuggets and a drive-through. I'll go.
That's the criteria. Nuggets and
I think
drive-through.
Wendy's is the obvious number one here. The
Really?
the spicy nuggets at Wendy's are obviously the best. I like the Chick-fil-A grilled nuggets probably at number 2.
Oh, we got a
Chick-fil-A
healthy guy here.
Chick-fil-A grilled number
Yeah.
at number 2.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I think McDonald's is a staple at number 3, right? What else do we have? Burger King's pretty nasty, but that's the best deal.
I mean, you can get like what?
Like 20 for $1.
I mean, I just limit you to top $4.
What about Phil? That background is the Yum Center. It's from the red and black stripe out game against Pittsburgh. And what about like I haven't had Taco Bell's nuggets.
I don't think it has Yum Center showing anywhere. We're allowed to have that picture up.
Okay, that's like just like Antichrist. You can't go Taco Bell.
Allegedly, they're pretty good.
Nuggets.
I had them once.
I haven't had them. Apparently, they're pretty good.
I had them once. They're super crispy. It didn't seem like chicken, but it did not taste nasty.
I will say this: their fries were really good. I love the
best.
Taco Bell fries. The seasoning they put on them is dope. Do kids still say that? I don't know.
Yeah,
but it is to me.
I also don't eat Rallies anymore.
We used to say,
I haven't get
Rallies so long.
But their fries are good too.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, they're a little kick to them. And it's a good thing. They're good.
Well, I don't know if you can shock me more than Wendy's being number one on your list. I mean, unless you're stalking them like Roman over here. Who's your top 3? God forbid. I mean, you can't beat Wendy's.
Like
I don't know
White
if
Castle
they're
or some shit. Even if they, but I would go Chick-fil-A 1, McDonald's 2, Wendy's. I think that's a pretty.
The chicken rings. The chicken rings from
White Castle are good. Honestly, they're pretty good. But
actually, the Burger King chicken fries are good too.
Yeah, that's what I count as chicken fries. Chicken fries are good.
The thing is,
I will give you that.
Bringing in places that have chicken strips rather than
chicken strips are their own category.
Nuggets. All right,
because then it's like Joella's, even though it's Jack.
Yeah, like Steak and Shake is underrated.
Like so Cane's wouldn't count.
But they're in the chicken strip hot chicken category.
Hot take.
But Cane's is automatically eliminated because they don't offer barbecue sauce.
Like
that is,
I've never seen a restaurant be carried more by their sauce than Cane's. Like
Facts.
if you don't have the sauce, it's absolute
facts. Cane's is the chicken's not even good. It's just hot. It's hot.
It's hot and soggy. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It is. What baffles me about Cane's is sitting behind someone in the drive-thru and trying to figure out what they want to order. There's literally nothing but chicken strips. Even if you order a sandwich, it's just 3 strips on bread.
Toast sucks too.
It's like
I know people like that, but it's
how can you be? Number 1 for me is Chick-fil-A, and that could be number 1 through 10 for me. I love Chick-fil-A nuggets. I've said it before. If that old question, you can have one food to live on all your life. Jerry O'Connell once said cherry Pez, which is a good one. I say Chick-fil-A nuggets. I love them. I feed them all. I love Chick-fil-A nuggets. They're number 1. Number 2 for me would be McDonald's just because of the nostalgia at all. Number 3, I didn't think of this. I think one of y'all said just a second ago, it's probably the chicken rings from White Castle. And if you live west of Mississippi watching this, you don't know what the fuck we're talking about because they don't have them there. But the chicken rings are, those are probably right there. Honorable mention goes to the chicken fries. Wendy's, Jesus, man. The spicy ones are okay, I get. But, man, regular chicken nuggets at Wendy's, that is just like rubber shit.
There's not a lot of great options. It's basically glorified dog food.
I mean, Wendy's spicy is always good, though, because their spicy chicken sandwich is probably the best next to Jaggers, if you've ever had it.
It's good, too. And it's affordable.
Yeah, but you have to wait like 30 minutes to get it because every time you pull up, they're like, we don't have any patties. Could you mind waiting 10 minutes? Yeah. Oh, you sure? Because I don't really want to make it. Yeah, I don't mind waiting. You positive? 'Cause it's going to take 10 minutes. It'd been 8 if you'd started working on it, motherfucker. So, yeah, that's
if you guys
kinda
are
how my
looking
routine
for
goes.
a new shirt to get before basketball season, you're fans of Home Field Apparel, highly recommend this banger. Denny
Is that Jim?
I
Crum.
like that.
Okay,
That's
nice.
cool.
It's got our
I would-
3-time national champions on it. It says so.
Soon to be 4.
Soon to be 4. You're damn
Yeah,
right.
unfortunately, I love home field apparel, but it's like me watching porn because they don't offer anything big enough for me to wear. So it's just like looking at things I'll never get to have, but always want. I can go through that site and be like, I love that, and that. I would love to be wearing that. Just kind of like I do with the girls on X video. I'd love to be wearing her on my face. Her on my face.
All right.
Unfortunately, I'm not. The site, which if they want to make things a little bigger, I would love to take it. Even they're like 3 and 4X, just not. It's not a real 3 and 4X for a big guy like me. I need.
Maybe
Like,
you should email them. You ever
I've
thought about
tried.
reaching out?
I was with Rutherford and had more power behind it. I tried reaching out, but they were like,
Damn.
"No, we don't have that much fabric available."
Do we need to cancel Home Field Apparel now?
Unfortunately, no, because the woke community only supports fat women, not fat dudes. We haven't got there yet. I mean, have you ever seen? I mean, the fat people movement is great. It's for women though, but fat men have no love skill.
Have you seen the Rick Ross and Lizzo meme? You're very right about that. Roman, I know what you know what I'm talking
I
about.
like to be like fat white people. But unfortunately, I came around 50 years too late for our prime time runs. Like,
Yeah.
I needed to be around in like the 20s when that was the only time for fat white people to have like be on top. Now it's to be on top. You're afraid you're going to slip and crush the person beneath you. It's you know, it is what it is.
We're gonna have to clip that for the TikTok.
Yeah, 100%.
No, I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Yeah, I get
All
it.
right,
You know?
fellas. That's great stuff there. This is
Awesome
this is shout out to the 80 of you already in here listening to us ramble late into the evening.
Who am I going to blame? I ate 20 fucking McNuggets for dinner.
I'm gonna have to go get me some nuggets after this potentially. I'm a little bit hungry already.
Hey, but you want a segue, Will? Here's a little
didn't-
segue for you. I know this might not be in the exact order we talked about, but I at least can get in shape now because Trump has put Triple H in front of the presidential fitness test, and now they're going to take sodas off EBT. Even though I don't get that damn thing, but they're going to make us healthy again. And from what I understand, the first act in the new presidential test is how to spray water out your mouth, which is going to be cool for Triple H. No wrestling reference skits? Oh God.
Anyways,
I don't know it.
a good
I
question
mean, I know
from
Triple
Phil
H, but
in the chat about Case and Pryor dunking. Did you guys see that video? Or do you have
I
any thoughts
did.
on it? Because I actually do have some thoughts. I'm not going to lie.
I did. I saw. He has gotten doing the full court dribble work with the finish. Obviously, I'm assuming he gets his own rebound, goes back to the other side, and does that for probably 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's moving. The fluidity in his stride looks good for sure. He didn't look robotic out there, but he's not moving very fast, and he didn't jump very high. So he's clearly
I have
not,
a higher vertical than he does right now.
He's clearly not very. He's making progress. The fact that he's doing that already,
Yeah.
he's getting up there and catching a lob to himself on his own full strength like that. That's great, but at the same time, that's not the case in Pryor that was catching lobs in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And that's the case in Pryor we need back. And I do fear, maybe I shouldn't go into this. Maybe we don't need to go into this right now, but I fear that we don't get the case in Pryor from the start of last season at the very start of this season.
I mean, I kind of hope we don't because he was not that good.
Shooting the threes at least. Yeah.
First, Case and Pryor hater number 1 on the show.
No, hang on a minute. Hang on. I love Case and Pryor, but I can't tell you how many times he actually pissed me off last season in the small sample size that we had watching him. I loved him. I love what he brought to the table, but I was like, brother, think a little bit before you act on the court.
Yeah.
He just does not have the ability to do that. But
I hate to be give you a spoiler on this one, Will. That's going to be probably what you're going to have most this year as well. Then that's just how that's who Casey Pryor is.
You're right.
He's kind of like he's like the basketball equivalent of Jameis Winston playing quarterback. It's like he's going to give you 5 touchdowns, and you're going to be like, yes, but then you got 6 interceptions to go with it. Like there's good for everything good. You're probably gonna get a little bit of the bad of equal or greater value with it, and it's gonna give you up and down. But the good's gonna be there to where you're like you don't want to hate him. You can't hate him. I mean, he's gonna be that guy on our team that we've kind of haven't had that everybody else has. That everyone hates him, but the team he plays for type of guy. But I mean, other than that, yeah, I mean, I saw the video. I mean, great. I expect with the knee injury he had, for him to come back from 1 year even from that, probably maybe 75%. I would think. I would hope by maybe at the beginning of the year, 2026, we're getting closer to 100% prior. But I mean, even 75% prior can still be good. I mean, it can still be effective, and that's one plus of not having to push him in too many minutes with the amount of foreign players we brought in that are raw and can kind of give us some of those minutes, like the guy you all have loved and Farouk, who I went back and watched the video of, and I will still say this: yes, he is a 10 to 15-minute guy next year. Khalifa is beyond far ahead of him at this point, at least from what I've seen in videos.
I love it. I love it. I love it because you're standing on it. You feel it, what you believe, and I'm never gonna. I'm always gonna.
But from
respect that.
I don't know the type of talent he's going against in these European leagues.
If you're correct.
To the point when I watch Khalifa highlights, I know what Texas brought to the table. Watching him, what he can do against those teams, against other teams in the WAC and other conferences. I know how good those teams were, and how I can be impressed by what I'm seeing him do on the court. Now that said, that's one guy, but when you have Hadley out there, he's going to more likely play a lot of the four, even though he may switch to some three. You're only looking at one big guy out there, and Farouk is third on that line behind Khalifa and behind Pryor to me. Am I wrong in that? Are you putting Farouk ahead of one of those two guys?
Yes.
Well, I hope you think he's I hope you're right and I'm wrong. I do.
I'm not saying he's Jesus, but it's. I think
here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Trevor. I don't. I fully understand exactly why you would feel that way because of the need to see it. Not. I mean, we have. You have every right to feel the way you do. That's where I'm not going to say it's a bad take by any means. I will say, if you are correct, we're fucked. Let me preface that just because based on everything we're hearing, everything we're being told from people that are getting to see it in person, Luke Hancock gave out his way too early. Hey, I've been able to see practice. If you guys forced me to give out my way too early starting five based on what I got to see at practice, he did have Farouk in it. That's Luke. Luke knows a little bit about ball, okay? But with that being said, with what you've gotten to see, with what you have to question, with what we don't understand about the talent he's going up against, you have every right to feel that way. With that being said, you have to think that it's a professional league, the level of athleticism, like what he is as a 21-year-old, about to be 22-year-old, body and the amount of reps he's gotten out there on the floor at least that physical nature of a pro league. Surely you have to think that that's the most physical ready player to be on an ACC floor to a degree, right?
I'm not willing to admit that a team that his team is beating by 40 points in the third league of the Germany league is any better than the University of Texas was last year. No, I don't know that. I haven't watched them play.
But he's playing grown men.
There's better better player. That German league isn't that bad at all.
The tournament he played in, he played some of the best teams in Germany in that tournament.
Yeah, and there's guys that are going to be playing in college next season that are also highly touted in his league. There's a guy like even Trey Mitchell a couple years ago played for UK, was their starting power forward. It was pretty good. Was good at West Virginia, and he wasn't putting up nearly as well as numbers as Farouk was. So it's like, I don't know. Huh?
Yeah, I remember Trey Mitchell. He was a late addition to Kentucky.
I remember the name, but I don't remember.
He undersized power forward.
Trey Mitchell.
Not last played 23, 24.
I think he was with the Mitchell from Texas from last year. Yeah. Who also was like a 6'8" power forward.
He was a transfer from West Virginia, Roman.
Yeah,
after Bob Huggins got fired.
Yeah, he was a very late addition. I do remember him, and he was an average player. I'm sure Kentucky fans will probably agree with that. I watched the film, and I don't see what he's doing in practice. I haven't seen practice clips of the film. I do see, and it was like a 16-minute clip. I think there was two of them. One was like 9, one was about 6 or 7. Some were similar plays from similar games. I see where you can get where everybody's getting, neon green stiffy on over here. But I just otherwise, I just but I still see a raw guy. I still see raw talent, and I don't know how it's going to transform into against the college level in American basketball. We'll see. But I have watched people play at this level. I think he is a college basketball center. I'm very thankful we got him back, and I've seen what Pryor can do. Be very frustrating, and he may play behind Pryor or play above Pryor. That might not shock me, but I would see Pryor getting the edge because of the familiarity with the team and being with this team over a year now.
Also, Phil said Will doesn't like Pryor.
You think Allie's the better offensive talent right now?
Oh, I don't think there can't be any doubt about that. I mean, I mean, I think that should be a given. Now, at least in terms of going into this year, I mean, we could have said the same thing about Waterman going into last year, and look how that kind of turned out with us last year, unfortunately.
Yeah, true. I think the versatility definitely isn't in question.
Hang on. Did you compare Noah Waterman?
Well, I was saying that because I can't just say he's going to be great offensively from clips we've seen him at BYU. Because if we'd used clips just going into last year about Waterman, we would have been more disappointed by the production we got.
Well, everybody
Waterman was planning. We were planning for Waterman to be very good. And
because everybody just looked at that step back 3 clip that he had and was he's gonna be really good. And no, he was not that great. But
he had excuses. He had the elbow issue, the wrist, the finger issue.
Yeah, the thumb. Yeah, and Ali has a completely different skill set than he does, anyway.
Yeah, I mean there were excuses, but the point.
See.
What now? It's the last part you said.
Will, you don't like Pryor? Just admit it.
So I'm a little bit jaded by him. Like,
I can't even pronounce his name.
I want him on the team, and I want him to play. It's just my hope is now that we have a deeper and more talented roster that he's not going to have the opportunity in the leash to do the kinds of things that he's doing. And my prime example of Kaysen last year is, I think I even mentioned on the podcast one time, is when we played Tennessee and we were down like 8-0 to start the game. Pat Kelsey brings in Pryor off the bench. And the first thing Kaysen does, he gets a rebound on defense, walks up the court, and steps into a 30-fucking-foot 3-ball, breaks the hell out of it. And it was just all downhill from there. He didn't do anything that game. It just was chucking stuff up. And I'm like, dude,
it was
like he has no ability to read the room whatsoever. I think he has good raw talent. He has a decent-looking jumper. It just doesn't go in a lot. I love his defensive presence, though. Like, that is his calling card in my book, is his ability to guard smaller opponents or help side in the paint. Like, he's perfect for that. And I really hope he has a big role on the team this year.
Perfect. I don't think Will dislikes him, Roman. I just think he's just pointing out the fact that that's the reality of what Pryor is. I mean,
yeah.
You can be in love with him and have kind of a man crush on him because of his antics and the excitement and stuff he brings. But the fact is that
Do you guys think the negatives?
The bottom line, like Will said, is pretty much all true.
You guys don't think the pros outweigh the cons with Pryor when he's at the peak of his game?
No, they definitely do. They do. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if he can accept being a role player, when he wants to try to be the star and be a guy who takes over a game, and he tried a little bit of that in Tennessee. Now, the Tennessee game was a clusterfuck from start to finish, anyway.
Yes,
yeah. It's not all on him, and we saw what you would call the good in the Bahamas before the knee injury, opposed to the bad, which was everything before the Bahamas, kind of in a way. But in small doses, if he's coming off the bench, backing up, Khalifa and getting in a role of getting, at 20 minutes a game maybe, and then I think in certain games playing more minutes if he's hot. I think he's a great addition and a great role player and a great glue guy on this team. And his skill set fits what Pat Kelsey wants to do perfectly. He's just a guy that can play center. And
if he buys into it, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's my thing, is that's what's so tough about me for Kaysen, is that if he literally just does what is needed from him at his position in the Pat Kelsey system, that kind of talent's probably going to have the best production on the floor because of what he can do defensively and what he can do offensively. He can stretch the floor. He can be a shot creator with the ball on the floor as a ball handler, in rhythm, right? Not saying he needs to be breaking down his man to the top of the key in the half court, but that's where his issue is that when the half court breaks down, now he thinks he has to be Superman. And that's not what we need. We need pass the ball, move, screen, hard cuts, get back out to the perimeter, make your man move, go create mismatches just from your movement. You're going to be a lob threat or an open three threat at all times just from your size and the ability to shoot over guys. So if he can just buy into the simplicity that this offensive formula can have, he can actually be the best player on the floor at times. But if he wants to be Kyrie Irving, then it's not going to work.
Well, if he wants to be Kyrie Irving, he needs to be like South Florida. Because that's where he can that's where he can be a Monty Bates at Eastern Michigan if he wants to be that. That's fine. Yeah. But if he wants to actually, it's the old thing we used to talk about when we were younger with some of my friends that had some walk-on talent back when I was, actually athletic. So you want to be a walk-on, sit on the bench at the end of at a UK or something, or go play at an EKU 30 minutes a game, something like that. That's kind of where Pryor is. Does he want to be a part of the system and be a guy that plays 15, 20 minutes-ish and takes, 3, 4, maybe 5 shots a game at most, then he needs to be at Louisville where he can actually maybe compete to win a national championship. He wants to take 25 shots. He wants to, be scoring 30 points a game. He wants to be the man. He can go win 10, 11 games down in South Florida. Be my guest. I'm sure Stan Heath, he's probably still down there. God knows. I don't know why anybody else would hire that punk. He can bring him on down.
I totally agree. I totally agree with everything you guys are saying. The only thing, or the last thing I want to add about Pryor is that my hope with how we use him next season is kind of like a matchup nightmare. Like how I see him almost is kind of similar to a tight end in football that is a matchup nightmare for DBs to cover or linebackers to cover. Pryor can be that guy to where he's too tall for guards to check him, but he's also too nimble and fast for big men to guard him, especially on the perimeter. So it's like he might not be very consistent or have the most consistent minutes compared to other guys, but I think we can use him in specific games that will really allow him to have his strengths accentuated, and he could be a really good piece 100%. On next year's team. So I'm not trying to discount his ability or his contribution. No, I think it's just we have to rein him in a bit.
I think a front court with him and Ali Khalifa, the high-low game that they could be able to play could be very, very scary. When you're getting that 4-man switched on the Pryor, the 4-man having to guard Pryor when you've got the two of them out there because of his ability to put the ball on the floor.
My question is, how much do they play together when you have Hadley out there playing a lot?
They would probably play a lot because Sfrew is probably going to start alongside Hadley, so it could be Khalifa and Pryor coming off the bench together. That's probably the most likely scenario.
You're going to expect at least close to 30 minutes out of Hadley. I would think.
Maybe not. I don't think this year. I think he'll be more in the 20 to 25 range, probably closer to 25. But
I think Hadley's the kind of guy that starts. He's a starter in 2025, and in 2026, he's probably not even in the starting lineup.
You don't think he's in the starting lineup?
Well, because
I think he starts. I think he starts this season in the starting lineup 100%. And I think by January, February, he probably takes that 6-man bench role, and someone's probably moved their way up.
I think so. I could see his minutes being diminished to where you have Daryl Clark coming off the bench playing starter minutes.
That was my other. That's what I said on the radio the other day.
I can't actually not be moved out. By January, I'd like to think, injury aside, the starting lineup for this team is set in stone. Minutes can fluctuate, obviously, game to game, but the starting lineup, I think, should be at that point set in stone. I hope to.
I agree, but at the same time, I think in the best case scenario, Case and Pryor fully healthy by January, February is your 4-man. In a 3-guard lineup, if you can have Case and Pryor and a Sonny Frew or Ali Khalifa, whichever one is playing better ball at that moment, I think that Case and Pryor, if he's bought in, he's playing that 25 strong type of basketball, paired next to a Sonny Frew or an Ali Khalifa, and then you've played. I personally feel a lot better about the 3-guard lineup of McNeely, Conwell, and Michael Baum being out there because you do want that shooting and you want that speed and you want that pace of play as well. Case and Pryor at the 4 spot, I think, kind of gives you that the most versatility on both ends of the floor in a 3-guard lineup if he's at his peak.
Now, I know this isn't a Pat Kelce thing, and you probably won't see it too often, but as an old school guy, I would do the thought of having Hadley at that 3 with maybe 2 other bigs. You talk about matchups. I mean, there's not a 3 in college basketball that's going to be able to stop him on that low block.
That's what I would want. That's what I would want.
You do lose a lot on the perimeter with him, and I know his shot's not the worst, but it's one of those. If he's open, maybe he's kind of like Fulton from Mighty Ducks. It's 1 out of 5. At best. So I mean, that's if he's wide open, and that's the only time you really want to take it. So we saw that occasionally last year. I think him into 3, very small doses in games
until the injuries happened.
Yeah, and I think you'll see it in certain matchups in certain games. That's the beauty of it. I mean, we're talking about a starting lineup, but again, once the ball is tipped, anything can happen in certain matches, but between certain teams, or different lineups are going to change regardless of who's starting the game. I mean, that's just the beauty of basketball and how it's going to happen. I'm looking forward to this basketball season. I really am. I mean,
I am too.
Yeah,
I am too. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. The three of us need to go attend the game together.
I completely agree. I already have season tickets actually, so maybe we can.
Trev, we got to get you down there. Got to get you down there in Jersey.
I'm not gonna lie, gentlemen. I think the last little game I was at live, I was on the court cutting down the nets in Atlanta. I think that's the last time I went to the Louisville game live.
The national championship.
I was. I went. I had media coverage for it, so I got to be on the court. I don't think you can see me on there, but I was staying next to Ware a couple times.
So do we need to get you to a game early this season so you can be the good juju to get us back to a Final Four?
You haven't been to a game since the national championship game.
I was in 6th grade, Trevor. That's pretty crazy to think about, honestly.
That makes me thanks. That is really
cool.
We're just saying.
I almost am willing to wait till it's number 4. It's time for number 4. We make sure we get Trev to that one. Because I want to ensure that you never attend a Louisville basketball game that isn't a win now, because clearly you've got the juju, Trevor. So we've got to get you.
Hang on. What if
I was at the Drexel game in the upset of the first ever loss there too?
Jesus, man, I was there for that too. Well, maybe what we could do is have you go to the exhibition game, because 1, that wouldn't count, and 2, you're going as a fan. You're not going as a media person. So maybe it's like we get you going back into the flow, and then you get a media pass for the Final Four. It's like
my first ever basketball game. I didn't get to go to a lot of basketball games growing up because the tickets were harder to get, and I'm lower middle class. So, but the first game I ever went to was an exhibition game in the I think it would be the 94-95 season. It was Samaki Walker's freshman year, and that class that involved Samaki Walker, Bozak Smith, and so on and so forth. We didn't have the internet at the time. A little short story for you. And as they announced the players, it wasn't until I got home that I thought his name was Ballsack Smith the entire game, the way they announced it. And it wasn't until I got home and later on realized it's not Ballsack. Now, the way he played for 4 years kind of was more Ballsacky than Bozak, but it still was a cute thing. I still have it somewhere. I had the team poster that they gave out. Samaki played high school basketball in Ohio with my friend of mine that lived in Columbus. And so he got us to go in the locker room and got the entire team to sign the schedule poster that they would hand out. And that was at that time, that was like one of my prized possessions for like 14-year-old Trevor. Awesome to me. That and the Barely 18 Legal magazine I had in my mattress were like my 2 favorite things to look at.
All right.
Both
should we address?
We both had the same purpose in life.
Should we address Phil's comments? He's made a couple. First about Adrian Woolley.
Go ahead, Will.
I will say
the first one we could touch on, I guess, is one on Adrian Woolley. And Roman, I wanted to ask you about this because Phil said, "Why are we sleeping on Adrian Woolley? He was our first expensive commit. Why can't he start?" And I'm not one to say that Adrian Woolley will start. Roman, I know you're very bullish on him. So kind of what's your mindset on that?
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys that's going to come along over the year. He's such a young guy, Phil. He's not even 21, I don't think. He was a true freshman last year at Kennesaw State. And granted, he did look pretty much in every single outing like he was clearly a level above the players he was going up against, and even the guys on his team, they kind of knew it as well. He was the go-to. He was able to kind of do whatever he wants, and he does have pretty much everything you could want. He can shoot off the catch. He can shoot off the dribble, but his his elite skill is getting by guys and getting to the rim. He's swift. That first step is elite, and then at his size, the hang time's kind of unreal. He can go up, and when he goes up, the defender starts to go down, and he doesn't. And that's different level of athleticism he's got. Now, like he's one thing you have to question is can he finish at the rim at the same level? Can he get to the free throw line at the same level when he's going up against more athletic guys, longer guys that can slide their feet better than the
Does he
talent
have a
was going up
counter
against
if his
Kennesaw
left
State?
hand
Right,
is cut off?
exactly.
Yeah.
He didn't have to experience as many of those kind of issues or learning experiences at Kennesaw State that he will like if he was at a power, team like Louisville last year, like he's going to experience this year. So, or that he's probably already experienced at practice, having to be guarded by Kobe Rogers and guys who have already done this at this level. So it's just going to take some time. I mean, I think he's one of those guys that he'll definitely have games he starts this season. Hopefully it's not because of injury, but just because he's got the hot hand. He's maybe got the gold practice or the gold jersey at practice that week. He's maybe earned it. Maybe it is kind of somebody having some dealing with some soreness or something like that. Or maybe he fully ends up being the kind of the I can't really imagine him being better than Conwell or McNeely anytime soon. They've got so many more reps at this level than him, but I think in terms of all around skill set, getting to the rim, finishes around the rim, shooting, ball handling ability, playmaking ability, he's right there with them. So it'll be interesting to see how he progresses this season.
I guess you could say I'm not bullying on Woolley. I think like Roman said, one of the best things I agree with 100% is he was a freshman last year. And I think I've compared him on here before to like, kind of like when I've looked at Terrence Edwards' video, going against competition, it is a lesser competition on a day-to-day basis and looking good. Him developing and not only developing as a player, and he could have he could from last year to this year could have taken huge strides forward, and I hope so. I think him maybe not being talked in the starting lineup position though on this team is a compliment to the recruiting the staff has done and the depth they put together. Because last year we would be doing all the other porn comments I've made to him on last year's roster. And this year he's not lost in the fold as much, but I think with you have Rogers coming back from the injury, who's obviously is a grown man and been in the system, and Pat Kelsey knows. You've got Brown coming in, who's a more higher touted freshman. You got the West Virginia kid, who is I think going to be really good and is seasoned. The nice thing about Woolley though is that when there's been many cautionary tales that we saw of a guy who put up good numbers at a small school and come to Louisville and be average to less than. And we've seen it more times, and it's been the Carlick Jones aren't, they're one every dozen. Most of them you're getting are Trey Lewis's. Now, the difference between all these examples I can give you and Woolley is that Woolley is a freshman, opposed to these guys were all, 50-year seniors, and their ceiling was already there. Woolley, to quote 22 Jump Street, they can still break through that ceiling, break right through. He can still get through there. And I love the potential I have with us probably losing both, Brown and Rogers after this season. If Woolley can come back as a junior, I mean, that's where you might want to start. It's weird to say in this day and age of thinking of a guy ahead of your head because the way that things move and the transfer portal goes. But that's where I would lick my chops for. I like to see this kid being a nice six man off the bench, giving us, again, 15 minutes or so, different games, foul trouble, injuries, whatever. Minutes might fluctuate, but on average, maybe 15 minutes. And just get better defensively. Just get better going against the level of competition you're going to go against on a day-to-day basis. And, we won't have to go through the trial and errors like we did with Edwards through this season with him, which will be nice, but we'll get the end product, hopefully, by the end of the season that we did with Edwards, and that's even better. I mean, that's having your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you guys said as well. I mean, the only things I wanted to add were from the article that I originally wrote about Woolley once we signed him, because I was trying to go back to see what my original impressions were. And the only weaknesses I had for him were his shot speed. He shoots it kind of similar to Terrence Edwards in terms of the pace of his shot. then averaging 3.3 turnovers a game. I was like, well, he's a freshman, but also it's Kennesaw State. You're playing in a lower level, so when you go to the ACC, how will you adjust to
He had the
that?
ball in his lot. He had the ball too in his hands a lot.
Yeah, no, he averaged 3.6 assists a game, so he had a positive assist to turnover ratio, but barely. So
0.1.
exactly, basically, yeah, but still positive. And then the last thing is
passing on a D plus.
yeah, his over reliance on his left hand. And as a fellow lefty, I understand the struggle when there's a lot of people that are right-handed that can't use their left, but nobody cares. But every time a lefty can't use their right hand, it's talked about all the time. And Woolley is no exception to that. But those are all three things that I think can be changed and developed and improved upon within a season. So I agree with you. He'll probably be around like the 15 to 20-minute range, at least the start of the year. But he's the kind of guy that he has the skill set and the talent to be able to be a star this season or in the future. So him being so young is such a good sign for the future, and I'm so happy that we were able to get him, and not only for this season, but for the continuity that Pat Kelsey wants to have.
Will, as a lefty, did you use the floater when you played rec basketball?
Yeah.
Why is it every lefty you play against rec basketball and has a floater in the lane?
Well, I'm shorter anyways, so I kind of had to use it regardless. I was a three-point shooter and a floater guy. So
Will grew up playing against guys bigger than him too. So
yeah,
I
so
have several friends that are left-handed too. One of my best friends is a lefty. One of my best friends growing up was a lefty and playing basketball with them all through my life. Like every time, I mean, any lefty I ever met always had a floater in that lane. He used to float.
Well, my main version of it though is a little bit different. I don't know if you guys remember who Xavier Simpson is, the guard that played for Michigan that was short.
I remember him vaguely. Yeah,
and he had the wild hook shot he would throw up, driving to the lane. I do that, but with my left hand. So like I'll be driving full speed to the rim and throw it up like that, basically a running hook shot, parallel with the basket.
Well, it's almost like the Sean Wood shot for Kentucky against Duke before Leitner hit the game winner.
Yeah, it's
good
just
old Wigginton hook.
Yeah, it's just one of those weird ass little shots. But Woolley's gonna be good.
Will just doesn't want me to compare the UK players. What all that is.
But yeah, I mean, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. I don't really disagree with anything else.
Well, I love basketball talk. Listen, I want to get more into basketball. We got so much time talking basketball, and there's other things in basketball we can talk about. But I mean, we're what, less than almost 4 weeks away, three weeks and a few days
August
away
30th,
from the
right?
kickoff.
Yep.
Is that when it's
August 30th. Yeah, today's August 4th, right? I mean, we're 26 days
August
away.
30th at 3 p.m.
Yeah, props to public education on that one. And 26 days away from watching Louisville, crush hopefully and enjoyably crush Eastern Kentucky. I believe it's who we play in the opening game.
Yes,
guys. I mean, are we getting neon green in our pants here? I mean, are the start of the season?
I don't know. I heard Miller Moss threw 3 interceptions and fumbled yesterday or on Saturday. So
hey,
I mean,
that means our defense is going to be awesome. Come on.
I heard Ron English. Ron English rip the defense after practice.
Come on, Roman. How long you been? You know how to spin this shit.
I have a question for you guys, and I don't mean to put you on the spot with this, but I feel like maybe we've had enough time to have initial impressions, not only of the roster, but like where guys will be in the depth chart. So do you all have, and I will have one caveat, on offense, the position that you think will be the best outside of running back, because I feel like everybody would say running back, and then the worst position group, and then the same for defense.
Go ahead, Trevor.
I'll say, I mean, outside running back, I don't. I'll start with the positive and say the best I think will be the wide receiver position because of Colin Lacey coming back, particularly. I'm a huge fan of his. I mean, and how can you not, just in the small sample size you got to see last year, a little bit before the injury, but particularly in the bowl game. I am big on him coming back next year. I know the rest of the receiving core might be kind of a very game to game type of thing, but I think he is going to be that go-to guy. I'm not saying he's going to have like Arnold Jackson 100 reception type season, but I mean, I think he's going to be the best impact guy and will be a nice replacement for Ja'Cory Brooks, who we lose. That was that guy kind of last year. Maybe not the same deep speed, but just the same impact. well, I can't remember how you worded it. I don't want to say worst, but fear would be quarterback, and that's Moss.
That's where I was going.
I don't think he's gonna suck. Because if he does suck, we've seen that with Plummer. I think my trust in Braum, as I've made it clear, I have trust in him, can do a good enough job to hide it to be successful still. But and with the running game, that can be easily done. But I think he can be. I feel like if we get caught in a game where we're maybe I don't say abandoning the running game, but we've seen games where Braum can get kind of pass happy a little bit and get caught up in that. And I like to call it the Mike Martz effect, where he just almost forgets how good a running game we have, despite the score of the game. If we fall behind by 10 or something, when that's still not no excuse to abandon the run game. I worry that Moss isn't that guy that can, like Shuck, I thought had faith in him to be able to make plays to get us back in a game like that. I don't know if Moss can do it. And that's where I worry the most a little bit. And I don't know where we go to backups, because our backups are what, like Deuce Adams, who's, I mean, and I don't even know who the third string is, to be honest with you, off the top of my head. I think it's Brady Allen
Yep.
still. Yeah, I mean, listen. If Brady Allen was going to play, they wouldn't have gone and got Moss and would have got Chuck. Okay, Brady Allen's there because Braum likes him and he's a smart kid. He's probably going to be a coach one day, but he ain't going to start.
All right. Well, how about
He'd have left by now or played here.
yeah,
I think
Roman,
that
you for offense?
on the offensive side, I think that the best position group outside of the running backs is going to be the offensive line. I think the emphasis on the running scheme, finding the open gaps, creating room for Isaac Brown and Duke Watson to maneuver on top of Keywan Brown in those short yardage situations. Wilder, if he gets out there as well. And on top of that, I think they're going to get creative this year. I think Colin Lacey's going to get utilized in the run game, right? And all of that's going to rely on the offensive line all being on the same page and everybody playing at a high level. And those second unit guys also being guys that can come right in and you don't lose anything. There's not a major drop off at all, which I think obviously at right tackle, there was that last year for a while until we figured that out. But there's a couple other spots that you just feel like there was, if it came down to it, there was going to be a little bit of a drop off, and you don't have that at all this year. I feel like in the offensive line, so I'll go offensive line as the best if I had to choose outside of the running back position. And if I had to go worse, I was going to go with the Miller Ross route, but to play it a little bit differently, I'm going to go the tight end route. I think because there are some question marks, right, on who's going to be the go-to guy, partially because we have a weird tight end room where there's not a single skill that we're lacking right now in the tight end room. There's just not really a tight end, in my opinion, that has like three plus of this major skills I feel like you would want a tight end to have. I feel like, Nate Krisky does all the things on the line well. I feel like he knows the playbook well. I feel like he does run his routes well and he can catch. He's not explosive, right? He's not going to kind of be that guy you can zone in on with your offense and utilize as a tight end to pick apart. David Mitchell's come in, right? Is he going to be able to figure things out and be more mature and learn here at Louisville under this system? Jacob Stewart was another guy you brought in. Now I'm also going to be worried about, is anybody going to be like have the chance to actually figure it out, because you're going to be rotating them all the time, right? Is that what's going to be happening? Kind of had some rotations last year at tight end. Granted, Jamari Johnson going down is partially kind of why that got influenced to where you're going to just experiment, but also utilize the kind of skill sets that you've got and not only have the one play style out there. So I do think because there's going to be rotations, there's going to be utilizing guys certain times. You maybe don't have the same exact perfect personnel every snap out there at tight end that you need, right? That could be an issue. So I'm not even going to say that they're going to be bad. I think that Jacob Stewart's going to be good. I think David Mitchell's going to figure it out here and get his head shown straight and understand that, wait a minute, I've got a chance to be the number one tight end in this team if I want to be. Excuse me, with who I am athletically. So sorry about that. Just burped on air. But I'd go tight ends. And then to actually, Will, what would you say before we all go defense?
So I'm a little bit on the contraries from you guys, actually. So first, I'll start with the best. I do think wide receiver besides the running back kind of is a shoe-in, honestly, because Colin Lacey and Chris Bell are already two all-ACC level receivers. So that's
what I was brain farting on. Thank you. I couldn't remember Chris Bell, number two guy. Yeah,
but just those two guys off the bat, and then everybody else is kind of gravy at that point, whether that is Bobby Golden, who would be a backup in the slot, Trayshawn Hurry, and Dakari Collins, who do have the potential, but they don't have necessarily the production to back it up. A guy like Boykins, Sean Boykins has been talked about by the staff recently about being utilized as a wide receiver and running back this season, his true freshman year. I think there's a lot of talent at wide receiver, and I don't think there's much else to it than that. My weakness, I do think Roman on the surface tight ends are definitely the weakness, but since we have so many on the roster, whether it's Jaleel Skinner, Jacob Stewart, Nate Kariski, Mitchell, like you just brought up, Dylan Mesman, the freshman, at least one of those guys would probably pop, I think. It's not guaranteed, but somebody will carve themselves as the number one tight end at some point in the season. We just have to hope that it's not too late.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Is the turnover tight end like Nate? The Nate is the only name I remember even on last year's roster. I mean,
Jaleel Skinner was, but he didn't.
Jaleel Skinner was as well.
I feel like
That's
last year, if you just go by like video game world, I mean, our tight end room was loaded. I mean, and a lot of them left and moved on, and we've had some turnover. So, I mean, and Nate being the only one left. But I would like to say, I mean, for Brom, who's a guy who's kind of put like a few tight ends in the NFL, the tight end in his offense doesn't really make a lot of splashes. I mean, it may be out there, but you're not going to get a lot of. He's not. They're not going to get a lead team and Jamie Asher, like Louisville reference there for the old school people, leading his team in receptions type thing.
I mean, that's only if they're good though. They'll have a role in his offense. But,
I mean, really, if you go back and look at even some of the best tight ends he had at Purdue, like Tyler Higbee was a Higbee, I think, that was at Purdue. It's solid in the NFL, and he was somewhat of an afterthought behind Rondell and others in that offense.
Well,
I mean, I think he can do good. My point is that the tight end can be overlooked, kind of like the offensive line, where you're not going to notice him it's making mistakes because it does, even though it's playing well. But it can be a concern that this seems like a whole new flip over in the tight end room.
And I don't think that tight end is actually the weakness or the worst position group.
No, I don't think.
Well, I will say that I think it's the offensive line. Honestly, I do think the offensive line. I think the offensive line is going to be good, but I think we're underrating a couple things. One, how important and good guys like Austin Collins and Monroe Mills were to the success of the offensive line last season. Yeah, it sucks to lose.
Yeah.
And how bad somebody like Rasheed Miller was last season. He was dog shit. I hate to call the guy out by name and say that, but he was terrible. Like in the middle of the season when we had tackle issues until Javonte Sylvester got plugged in and Monroe Mills got healthy and we kind of righted the ship, he was a trash can as well as I'm drawing a blank on his name, but the 6'8" dude from Yale, he was even worse.
Oh, yeah.
Jonathan something. I can't remember his last name. But
Harvard kid that played well on defense and the offensive kid from Yale, it sucked.
Yeah, Thor Griffith on defense. But I mean, I do think that like your starting O-line is really good. Whether that's guys like McCaleb Pounders and Javonte Sylvester, who I think should be a starting tackle, whichever side. And you have guys like Victor Cutler and Pete Niger as your anchor in the middle. Like
Musa
I do think
as well.
Yeah, he'll probably be. I mean, he could be a swing tackle or a guard. But the problem is that we're going to have unproven guys in the second string level, whether that is Michael Flores or Jordan Church. Like, do we really think they're that good? We don't know. So if we have injuries to the level we did last season, we could be in some deep shit. But if we stay healthy, I do think that the offensive line could end up being the best position group, regardless of whether we include the running backs or not, because they do have the first level or first string talent to be really good. But my problem is not from the starters, it's from everybody else behind them and how much that worries me. So yeah, that's my.
You're right. That could be a concern, but I feel like with the reason you gave me for the tight ends, I feel like you've got enough tries. You do have enough chances there with guys with some size and a little bit of experience to if they should be improving throughout the season. Obviously, it's hard to do with game reps, but so you've got enough guys to where you're not in a situation like last year where it's like, okay, who do we even put there now? And you kind of trial and error with some success with Sylvester, right? So I don't think you're going to be in a full on like powerless situation like you could like we set ourselves up to be last year. I get it though. There is some question marks in the second string kind of O-line guys, but you've got plenty now. So
I think the biggest
that is
in perk for the offensive line is no matter if they're doing good or bad, they're going to look good when you got Isaac Brown and Duke Watson getting 10 yards a carry, regardless of how good or how well they're blocking. For an old school references, I'll never forget Emmitt Smith. Before Emmitt Smith got there, Dallas' offensive line was fat, lazy, and couldn't block. In 2 years with Emmitt Smith, the three of them are making the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying they didn't improve. And Eric Williams and Nate Newton and all those guys are great offensive linemen in their day. But the good running game is going to make the offensive line look better, and it's going to be hard to with the Louisville's running backs as good as they are. The offensive line doesn't have to be great. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. But it can look that way. Make teams put 8 guys in the block like Pittsburgh used to do against Satterfield every game, and then when they do that, that's when Miller Moss is going to have to make some plays because we're going to see that many games. People are going to stack the box nonstop, and they're going to go.
The problem is,
and Bell one-on-one on islands in a lot of cases, and most defensive backs aren't going to be able to guard either one of those, or have 2 guys good enough to guard both. It's going to be Moss getting them the ball in the right situation.
If teams try to do that, Roman, I'm sorry to interject. If teams try to do that where they stack the box, and I don't think they're going to be able to this year, Brom will immediately go into pistol play action, get the defense in flow because they'll be in man-to-man, and guys like Chris Bell and Colin Lacey are going to be running wide open the entire game. So that's impossible.
The backs are going to be running open in that situation too. The backs will feast in the passing game if they try to load the box as well, I believe. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Brom's always never been shy to run screen plays and swing passes and all that good stuff. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be inventive. He's going to be, like you mentioned, I think you'll see Lacey doing some end arounds and things like that and little gadget plays. I mean, he's Brom's fun to watch. That's why I have one
offensive
trust in what he's going to do.
I want to ask you guys, because you said we were going to do it for defense too. Do any of us think that the secondary is not going to be the worst group on the defensive end? So you think there's a position group that's going to be?
Yes. I mean, I can start if you want.
What is it? Let's hear it. Let us hear it.
Well, actually, first, so we can end this on a positive note. Let's start with the worst first, and then we'll go with the best second, so we don't feel like we're trashing on the team necessarily. So the worst on defense, I think, is going to be the defensive line. And the reason why is I like guys like Rene Conga and Jordan Garrod. I love Clev Lubin on the edge. I think somebody like Adonijah Green, AJ Green, whatever he's called now, could be really good at edge as well. I think there's a lot of talent, but the problem in my eyes is those guys, mainly Rene Conga and Jordan Garrod, is that for the most part last season, they were depth pieces on the D-line, and they made plays, but they weren't expected to be on the field most downs during the game and impact most downs during the game and have that stamina to play for as long as they are. So I do think that they could be really good. And then you also have guys like Wesley Daly, who we have coming in, who I think could be really good on this team as well on the D-line. I think the strength of it are the edges. But, yeah, I think the interior of the D-line is to be determined in terms of how effective they can be over an entire game rather than just the front four.
I do question the depth of the D-line.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have a drop-off with the guys you bring in?
Yeah. In terms of the best, I do think it's corner. I don't – and here I was saying not to be negative. I don't know if there's necessarily a position group on the defense that is really good. Maybe someone linebacker has solid talent.
I think the talent at linebacker is definitely the best.
Talent's the best, but do we know if the skill and the production is the best? I don't know. I mean, I love TJ Quinn as a thumper, but he's not very good in coverage, and sometimes he gets a little lost, and that's coming from a guy who's been in the program for 4 years. So it's a little concerning at times. But I do think there is talent on the defense, but it ultimately just comes back to the coaching. Maybe that's why I'm such a pessimist. I know I went on a whole rant last time, so I'm not going to do that again. But corner, in my opinion, is the best because we got Tayon Holloway back. So you have guys like Rodney Johnson and Justin Agnew who will likely be corners 1 and 2. Tayon Holloway is probably the most talented corner on the roster right now, and I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I think he's pretty good. So I guess it's a good thing. And I think the young talent on this team is pretty good. I don't know if a guy like Nigel Williams that we got as a super late addition in the portal can be impactful. He's
Put
more of
Antonio
a,
Harris in.
yeah, exactly. But Nigel Williams is more of a nickel corner, a slot corner. He's only 5'11", so I like the ranginess of the corners on this team and even the safeties. But yeah, I don't know if the depth is really where we want it to be across the board. But there definitely is talent. So we're going to be
What do you
relying
say,
on
Trevor?
not having injuries.
This is going to be a weird answer. A worst would be me. I have paid little attention to the defense this offseason and the turnover that it's done and the amount of players we've
Fair.
lost. I
That's fair.
have focused a little more on the offense, and rightfully so. Defensively, I do know. I don't know a lot of the. I can't remember all the names that have come back at this point yet, because we did have a lot of turnover on defense. You mentioned, we've talked about in the last show where we're English, and all that stuff with the defense that we had being as bad as it was in moments last year. There's a lot of holes to fill. So for worse is going to be my not knowing everyone and everyone has been replaced in this defense. The best is the mystery of the fact that I don't know everybody on this defense, and therefore I can be positively, optimistically blind. And the fact that EKU is your first game, you play Bowling Green your third game, two teams that were bad last year. Well, EKU, I don't know how bad they were, but it's Division II, gives a fuck. But Bowling Green was bad, and it's a good way. It's going to be a great example because we should obviously dominate EKU defensively in the open. But if we're seeing some holes, some issues, that's going to be a concern in game one right away. Now, if they go out and shut out EKU, that doesn't necessarily mean I think this defense is right where it needs to be. But because they can still kind of play a C game and probably shut out EKU, to be honest with you. But I think that's going to be the one I want to look at is game 2, and that's James Madison. That's a team that worries me. I know I've been down this road before. I remember one year I was worried about Ohio, and we beat them like 44-0 or something. And I've been worried about smaller schools before. I was a little more worried last year about Jacksonville and Rich Rodriguez coming in here, and that clearly wasn't an issue. We handled that game well enough. I don't know what James Madison's done in terms of the transfer portal from last year to this year. I do know they had a really decent team last year. They had a really good running game last year with Petaway and others. I don't know how many of those guys went to the transfer portal and went and left and came back, so I can't speak for them 100%. I did like the coach they replaced the IU guy with, the Division II kid out of Virginia that came in, James Madison. I thought he did a good job with them last year. I'm brain farting on his name. But so that game worries me a little bit at home. That I think is going to be the game where we're going to get a good taste of where this kind of defense is early on. And then obviously when you go on the road against Pittsburgh and so on and so forth, we'll know more. But those first 3 games are what I'm most excited about, I guess. So that'd be the positive, is the excitement of seeing what we can do in those 3 games. 2, which I think we should look really good, and 1 could be a really good test against the James Madison offense that can be very up tempo. He likes to play up tempo, runs the spread option offense, and likes to push the score up there. And so is Jack.
And what's tough,
What's
fellas, is because of what we had to go through last year with Ron English, and what you've both just kind of reiterated in your two takes about the defense there and the turnover and the guys playing last year who have come back that weren't actually necessarily true defined starting kind of caliber players at that role. Guys still kind of building themselves up and trying to learn how to play the position correctly. We've got to wait and see. We have to wait. We have to see what we look like. We have to see what's changed. We have to see if anything's improved in the defensive philosophy and the defensive game plan, which is kind of.
Will you remind me? You mentioned TJ Quinn. Who else off last year's team that played snaps did come back to remind me? Give me a
Saquon Clark.
Yeah.
Clark. Okay. What was the freshman? Capers.
Yes, he
was
back.
A redshirt freshman last year.
Antonio Watts is back, who I think is probably our most underrated player on defense. defense.
I know we got the kid
I'd
from
agree.
there back. He's put on some weight at defensive lineman. I don't know how effective
Yep.
he can be. I know, but I know he had to put on weight because he was way too small to play D
Yep.
line. Came out of college.
And I just thought of this too. Another guy to keep in mind at corner is Raymond Mosby. He was great in the Sun Bowl as a true freshman. Like his first actual game, he was basically, once Tavion Nicholson got hurt, was basically the only corner that could cover anybody on Washington's team. So I do think we have good depth at corner. We have the problem with our defense is that the returning talent is pretty young for the most part, and not wildly unproven, but pretty unproven. You got a lot of depth pieces in the portal, but nobody that is supposed to have a substantial impact outside of Clev Lubin. Probably he's probably going to be a top 20 pass rusher in the country. So I do think that he's really good and he's legit. He transferred from Coastal Carolina last year, Trevor. He's a really good edge rusher. But
no, you know, Coastal Carolina's a good program.
Yeah, but nobody else is really a splash outside the portal or even on in the freshman classes. Like somebody like Caleb Matzalau is a linebacker that's a true freshman. He's, I think, going to be pretty good. But the thing is, with college football, you rarely have true freshmen that are like that really good.
Well, it's hard to the physical level just from going from high school. I mean,
exactly.
Again, you'll have your one out of maybe 50 that are physically ready, but they're few and far between
for a school like us. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a thing you said, kind of, and maybe it's a mix of what you just said, where you're lacking experience, maybe lacking depth, combined with I have always been a supporter of a second chance. Do you think that those two things kind of stirred together makes the stew of why the staff was willing to bring Holloway back?
Not necessarily. I think if they had set standards in line for him to be able to be reinstated and he met those, then that is what it is. I do think that some people are trying to take too much of a moral high ground on this. I mean, there are so many programs in college football that have terrible people in their programs that do awful shit and remain in the program. Georgia is Exhibit A. I mean, how many times do their players have to be arrested for that? Like, we have one player that's had a bad mark on their resume. And we're like, oh God, why would we reinstate them? But Georgia does it every 2 weeks. So his record is clean. The charge has been rescinded. I believe he's still with the girl that even made the claims against him anyway. So I'm not acting like he's some
no, he wasn't
benevolent person, but
I think everyone deserves a second chance, personally.
Yeah, exactly.
And this would be a second chance. But I just wonder. I mean, I think Brom's is shown to give second chances. I mean, God knows what was the wide receiver's name out of KCD or whatever that had all kinds of talent. He gave him third, fourth, and fifth chances, and he never still came through. Was it Milton or Hilton? I think the wide receiver at Purdue that was from Kentucky that was the big kid that just couldn't keep his head on straight.
I have no idea, to be honest.
You'll know probably about it if I looked it up. I'm just forgetting his name. He played with Rondell and all them. Had a great freshman year, and then just apparently can't read and write despite going to KCD. But yeah, so I mean, I'm all for that, but I just wonder how much of it would be also the lack of depth and experience kind of helped push the wanting to give a second, willing to give that second chance. Is what I'm just curious about. And by the way, be nice to Georgia players because all those guys end up being Eagles. Okay, so
yeah.
All right.
Well, and we can address the comment that Phil made. Like, yes, I'm not trying to act like Tayon Holloway is some great person, but I mean,
he might be.
He was taken to court, and he was not criminally convicted, and the person that placed the charges on him.
Yeah, we have to just trust Jeff Brom had all the evidence and information he needed to have to make a decision on whether or not, if he follows a path and achieves whatever the expectation is, then he would be reinstated. We can't look into what that kind of thing means for us. We're just fans, and we don't know of every single detail of every single thing that happened there and what in the aftermath of it all, and with the figuring it out and the dropping of charges and all that. So
yes.
Not for us to speculate on. He did what was asked of him. We have a coach that we put on this pedestal that we regard, that we trust, that has a very hard task at hand of being the coach of a football program like this. And he knows the weight at which the decision like that means in this kind of city, especially. So you just have to trust him there.
And Milton Wright
Um,
was the receiver's name, by the way, Will. Milton Wright. I don't know if you remember. He was a big recruit out of Kentucky. He went to, I think, KCD, I think it was.
fellas, we've kind of extended past here a little bit past what we like to keep it under here. I don't like to go.
Well, I'm going to segue the going
1 hour mark.
extensively past where we're supposed to be into the big green item being thrown on the court. Real quick, when's the next dildo sighting, gentlemen?
Within the month.
It takes off 3 days a month. 3 days a month. There she is. There she blows. Now, are we going to start getting different colors? I like the green. I have no problem with it. I think it's a little weird, but I mean,
I think purple's next. That's my guess.
Purple. I mean, can we at least get like some team color matching here a little
So,
bit?
Trevor, what kind of person and how is that person sneaking this into the arena?
Well,
in the
I'm
first
so
place?
glad you asked that, Roman. Now, that depends on the person, my friend. Now, obviously, a lady sneaking it in has multiple options, and can probably, and we will leave it at that. Now, for me, if I was sneaking it in, I have plenty of room to put that up front. I can, there's no space being filled too much there, unfortunately. No three-legged races by myself for me. I'm no three-legged Greg like your boy in Miami. So you could do it that way. Now, you, on the other hand, you probably will, at least what I've heard from this girl, would probably have to go around to the backside, maybe do a little hide there, kind of like getting heroin across the border type thing. Now, the question I have, though, and I'm concerned about, is that I assume these things are, they have mechanical parts in them. Now, unless it's just a pull rubber, I don't know. I could have swore back in the day they did vibrate a little bit. So how are we getting past the metal detector here, people? I mean, what are we telling them?
What do you know?
I mean, are we not
How do you
searching?
know they used to have mechanical aspects to them, Trevor? What you know about that?
Let's just say this.
And now it's
So I hurt my knee.
Imagine that.
It's not frozen now. I don't know. So recently I had some neck issues, and my friend's wife said, "I've got a great neck massager for you." And I'm like, "Whoa, now, I know what the ladies' neck massagers are for." Thankfully, she didn't give me that. It actually turned out to be this right here, which if she does use that for this, I'm curious. I don't know. I mean, that looks like the shocker to me, kind of. But and I don't mean just like shock. I mean, it looks like a shocker. Oh, now it won't stop moving. See it? And now it's vibrating. Lord, turn off. Anyway, thing works great on my neck. I don't know, and because that's a good size. Help me out here, gentlemen. I'm trying to go to scale right here. That's at least 8, right? Like that looks like what I tell people. that's an 8 inch, right?
I
feel like you're maybe. I mean, you can't just put that like that's. Something's showing if you try to have that on your person when you go in.
Just have
but you just tell them you're happy to see them.
Is that what they do? You just
God.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It is pure rubber because I haven't had a chance to handle it. So I mean, if it's just one of the pure rubber ones, then I guess that makes sense with the metal detector thing. But that's also cheap too. And I mean, yeah, and I'm more worried about the color scheming of green. I mean, are we gonna start throwing like fleshlights on the NBA game floors now? Like is that the opposite thing? Just get a fleshlight thrown on during a Lakers game? I don't know. I mean, personally,
I'd be surprised.
And here's what I don't get. And this isn't me trying to be like the anti-WNBA guy, because I have kind of bashed about the WNBA, rightfully so, for years. But like, how can we have no word yet of who these people are throwing dildos onto the floor? Yet
that's a good point. We don't know who they are. They haven't been arrested.
Doesn't mock. Doesn't it just laughs at a girl's weaving? A guy laughing at a weaving, and throw him out, which was the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, he gets thrown out, and yet we've got guys chucking 8-inch cocks onto the court, and we still know who they are. You're telling me there's not one person that didn't see that? I mean, that's It's not like it's hidden. It's not like it's
You know,
throwing a
you
crumb.
you make a great point because, for example, in the Louisville Creighton game, you guys remember the water bottle that was thrown on the court. I was by that area. It was a section over. That fucking thing, immediately after it was thrown, people were snitching on who it was, and they got security there immediately, expeditiously, before they even cleaned up the water.
Yeah.
How do you not find it? Because it's, no disrespect.
I love the connotation behind
Oh.
Trevor's point that the connotation behind Trevor's point that they should be thrown out because it was an 8-inch cock that was thrown, as if it was maybe a shorter, smaller
Then
cock,
it would be
then
funny. It'd be like, ha ha ha.
fine.
Yeah.
If it's that big of a cock, no, you got to get out of here. That's unacceptable.
I mean, listen,
All right,
I
well,
get it,
that's
but
a
like I
great
said, really,
gap.
how do you not spot this person? And by the way, if I throw a black one, is
I
that
don't know.
racist? I'm just curious. I don't know. I just
It might
for me, in some cases, I mean, that poor dildo's played better defense than some of the women I've seen on the court. But I mean, that's not
All right, it's now real chill after hours. Fellas, let's wrap it up here. We have a couple more things we're going to get to, but we'll save those for next week. It's things that we're not going to lose anything this week on, but we will be back on end of the week Sunday or potentially start of the week Monday of next week. One of those 2 days. We're going to try to keep going every single week. We'll be able to react to all things NFL and all things Louisville football on that kind of a schedule. So
yes, I make Ken look like John Holmes. Yes,
you do. But fellas, appreciate you guys coming on. Again, this has been the Real Spill Live Show.
100% true.
Will Wigginton, my co-host here. Trevor Kelsey, co-host there. I'm your co-host, Roman Kelly. We'll be back in just a few days. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for joining, all 155 of you. Trevor, let them know if they want to sponsor the show. All they got to do is just give us a little bit of money. We don't need much. You can have your name on the show.
Put it on a fish hook if you'd like, and we can grab it.
We'll put it on a T-shirt. Real Spill hats coming soon.
To quote the great Coming to America, we'll take what jingles, but we prefer what folds, as long as it's green and doesn't vibrate.
Real Spill hats coming soon. Little rope hat we're gonna get. We'll all have them. We'll try to get those on before fall. But fellas, thank you all so much. Listeners, thank you all so much, as always, for sure. And go Cards. See you guys here in a few days.
Go Cards.